Stargazing with Minotaur. In the ancient city of Knossos, the Greeks wove a legend that still echoes today. A labyrinth of twisting corridors, each turn a test, housed a creature that roared fear into the hearts of all who dared approach. The Minotaur, half man, half bull, was the living embodiment of unrestrained power and raw fear. Yet it was Theseus, armed with no weapon but a thread, who entered the maze and brought it down. The thread was a simple, unassuming tool that allowed him to return, guiding himself out of a trap that would have devoured him forever. The moral of that story is that in every complex obstacle we face, there is a simple truth or strategy hidden beneath the layers of doubt and confusion. In the ancient Greek mind, the labyrinth represented the soul's internal passages, a metaphor for the journey inward to find the inner Minotaur that we must confront to live freely. For people in today's fast-paced business world or busy personal lives, the labyrinth can look like deadlines stacking like rooms in a maze, the expectations of family and colleagues, or the endless flow of information that demands our attention. Each turn presents a new challenge, but the thread of clarity remains the same. Focus on the moment you are in. Practical application. In the morning, before you open that inbox, take a minute to list the 3 most important tasks you need to accomplish today. Those 3 tasks are your thread, your guide through the labyrinth. As you advance, let each completed task be a step toward the exit. In the end, Theseus's courage was not a mythic act, but a simple act of disciplined focus. In our lives, disciplined focus is the same sort of thread that helps us escape the maze of modern anxiety. If you find that the labyrinth of your tasks feels too confusing, remember that the thread is always there. Focus on the task at hand, and the entire maze will unfold before you. Like, share, and subscribe for more journeys through ancient wisdom and modern life. Reflective question: what is the thread that guides you through your own labyrinth of daily challenges? Weapon of protection, the Eye of Horus. Egyptian culture placed great emphasis on the Eye of Horus as a symbol of protection, healing, and power. In the myth, the Horus god's eye was severed during a battle with his uncle, Seth. Horus's mother, Isis, and husband, Osiris, restored the eye with her magical oils, and with its restored power, Horus regained his vigor to protect his kingdom. The eye became a talisman that wards off evil, as evidenced by amulets placed on soldiers and everyday people alike. The ancient Egyptians did not just see the eye as protective, it was an emblem of seeing clearly. They believed that to observe truth, one must see beyond the obvious and perceive what lies beneath. This mirrors Stoicism's emphasis on clarity of mind, focusing on what truly matters and not being misled by external distractions. When facing criticism or setbacks, modern individuals can adopt the eye's wisdom. It reminds us that we only have control over a small part of the world. We cannot physically heal or restore all the ways our lives deviate from the ideal. But we do have the power to see clearly, to evaluate the situation, decide how best to respond, and take purposeful action. Practical example: think of a situation where a colleague or a client criticized your work. Instead of feeling wounded, view the criticism through the lens of the Eye of Horus. Is there truth that can help you grow? Let that truth guide your response, rather than your emotions. By applying that ancient protective principle, you can transform an adversary into a teacher. In conclusion, the Eye of Horus is not just a mythic symbol. It is a tool for perspective. By sharpening our sight toward what matters, we become unshakable, just as these ancient people were protected in their daily lives. If you appreciate the power of seeing beyond the surface, like, share, and subscribe for more insights drawn from ancient wisdom. Reflective question: how can you refine your vision to see through the noise and focus on what truly moves you forward? The battle with Minotaur and Sri Ragas. While the Minotaur is a symbol of overwhelming fear, the Indian epic, the Bhagavad Gita, tells a story of a warrior, Arjuna, facing a battlefield unlike any other. In a moment of doubt, he turns to his charioteer, Krishna, and receives a profound revelation that his duty is not to desire personal victory, but to act selflessly, aligning his actions with his purpose. This story is a mirror for the mind's labyrinth that feels like a minotaur roaming in the darkness. Arjuna's counsel to Krishna: if you refuse to act, you will never achieve purpose, parallels the idea that the labyrinth is not a place of passive fear, but of purposeful action. Both stories convey that the greatest battles are internal. In Greek myth, the Minotaur was vanquished by Theseus because he understood his own purpose. In the Gita, Arjuna overcame inner doubt by following his dharma, the higher purpose of his role. In modern entrepreneurship, the labyrinth is the market, the unknown terrain ahead of the launch of a new product. The Minotaur's roar is the anxiety of investors' skepticism, and the Gita's advice is that the success of the venture is not defined by the market's immediate verdict, but by staying true to the core mission. Apply this idea today. Before you start a big project, carve out one guiding principle, your dharma. This could be customer focus, a commitment to sustainability, or a promise of quality. Let this principle become the thread. When roadblocks appear, refer back to your core value. The Minotaur is strong in its rawness. A clear purpose is strong enough to silence it. Conclusion: the ancient stories are not separate. They are linked through the same wisdom that every internal struggle is a labyrinth we have to walk. When we combine the courage of Theseus, the clarity of the eye, and the purposeful alignment of Arjuna, we forge resilience that can withstand any Minotaur. If these lessons resonate, share, like, and subscribe to join us in exploring how age-old stories can help you conquer modern challenges. Reflective question: what is your guiding principle, and how will it help you navigate the labyrinth of today's challenges? Labyrinth of the mind, finding your own Minotaur within. Every day, our minds wander through intricate tunnels of thought, emotion, and memory. The Minotaur's shadow looms larger when we let our thoughts stray from clarity. To truly find inner strength, we must learn to identify that Minotaur, those thoughts that derail us from our path. One practice drawn from Stoicism, a philosophy that values disciplined reflection, is the negative visualization. By imagining losing what we hold dear, we learn to appreciate it and reduce fear. Another practice is the evening review, a brief moment of reflection on what is good, what's lacking, and what is in our control. By making the review a daily ritual, our brain learns to focus on outcomes it can shape, not the uncertainty of outcomes beyond our influence. Applying this process is similar to navigating a maze. You draw a mental map of your priorities, then step through one corridor at a time, letting the map guide you. At the same time, you use the Stoic method to ensure that even if the path is unknown, your reaction, maintaining equanimity, remains. Practical example: in a stressful meeting that feels like the maze's center, pause for a breath. Ask yourself 2 questions. 1. What can I control in this conversation? 2. Who am I, not the role I am playing? By focusing on these answers, you reduce the Minotaur's roar and keep an inner calm. Over time, this becomes a reflex, your mental thread. Conclusion: the mind's labyrinth can be conquered by a trio of ancient tools: Stoic discipline, Egyptian insight, and the Bhagavad Gita's alignment. Using these tools transforms internal doubts into purposeful action and resilience. If you find these strategies helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more ancient and modern wisdom to guide your journey. Reflective question: what habits can you develop each day to keep your thread of focus through the labyrinth of your thoughts? The quest continues, a call to action for inner courage. In the climax of the ancient stories, Theseus, the hero of Attica, walks through the maze, guided by thread and purpose. Horus shields his realm with the eye, and Arjuna conquers his doubt with the knowledge of his dharma. These characters give us 3 powerful reminders. 1. Have an internal compass that points always to your core goal. 2. Protect your mind by seeing clearly. 3. Act from a place of responsibility, not fear. Their legacy is a framework for modern success: focus, clarity, and purpose. Combine these, and an inner Minotaur loses its power. When your mind becomes a battlefield where you have the thread and the shield, you are no longer bound to the maze, but become a traveler free to choose the path. How can you apply these lessons today? Start by writing one sentence that captures your core purpose. Hang it somewhere visible. When you face doubt or a difficult decision, look at that message. It will remind you of your thread, your protection, and your purpose. In closing, let the ancient symbols of the labyrinth and the Minotaur, the eye of Horus, and the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita be your guiding lights. They remind us that the greatest victories are won not in the arena, but in the quiet place between thoughts. If you have found value in blending these stories, please like, share, and subscribe so we can continue to explore ancient wisdom and its modern applications together. Reflective question. When the metaphorical Minotaur appears, will you follow the thread, look through the eye, or act from your dharma, or perhaps all three, to find your way out? Philosophy Spotlight. Stoicism, a guide for inner resilience. Stoicism, born in 3rd century BCE Athens and refined by thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, teaches us that the only true good is virtue, the only true bad is vice, and our emotional health depends on our judgment of events. In plain terms, the Stoic teaches that we don't choose the world around us, but we choose our response to it. Marcus Aurelius once wrote in his Meditations, "When you arise in the morning, think of the day as being in your control. When you have a difficulty, you can endure it because you decide whether it harms or does not harm you." His experience as Roman emperor, constantly beset with political turmoil, wars, and health crises, made him a natural advocate for Stoic discipline. He could not control what enemies did, but he could control how he reacted. Lesson 1: Control what you can. From his experience, Marcus Aurelius learned that the only things that truly matter are our own thoughts, intentions, and actions. He practiced daily reflection, considering what is within his will and what is not. Modern professionals can learn to focus on their own decisions and reactions when facing office politics, market shifts, or personal challenges, leaving the external world at bay. Lesson 2: Practice virtue as a daily habit. The Stoics believed that wisdom, courage, justice, temperance are the cornerstones of a good life. Today, we can translate this by setting daily micro-objectives that align with these virtues. Be kind to a coworker, justice; act with integrity in a deal, courage; and show self-control over impulsive spending, temperance. By turning virtue into a routine, you build resilience against emotional upheavals. Lesson 3: Embrace adversity as an opportunity. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you that matters, but how you react." He taught that obstacles are not to be avoided but confronted. In business, a failed project can become a learning episode. In life, a breakup can be a catalyst for self-growth. A Stoic approach reshapes frustration into growth. Connecting Stoicism to the overarching theme, the philosophy mirrors the lessons from the Greek labyrinth and Egyptian eye. Just as Theseus used a thread while the eye protected us, Stoicism supplies a mental thread of rationality and a shield against emotional turbulence. The Minotaur's roar becomes a reminder that when fear is embraced, rational understanding is lost. But with Stoic discipline, the roar is redirected into purposeful acts of courage, echoing Arjuna's alignment in the Bhagavad Gita. In practical business terms, a leader who practices Stoic principles will remain calm in crisis, make unbiased decisions, and inspire trust because the leader's behavior is founded on core values, not on shifting fads. Thus, Stoicism, like the ancient symbols, offers a timeless strategy to navigate today's chaotic labyrinth, giving inner strength that's both resilient and purposeful. If you felt your mindset could use a Stoic upgrade, consider adding a 5-minute reflection each morning. Think about what you can control and how to act with virtue. Remember, with a thread of rationality and a shield of virtue, even the fiercest Minotaur can be vanquished. Call to action. If this script has resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe to stay inspired by the intersection of ancient legends and modern living.